Hi guys, it's Laura and today is Top 5 Wednesday. So today's Top 5 Wednesday is Top 5 Halloween Reads. Now before I start, I just want to say I actually have 2 Top 5 Wednesdays for this one today, and yes, I did say 2. I do have a reason for this, and that is the fact that 5 of them are classics and 5 of them are not classics but kind of more YA. So I thought I'd do 2 separate ones, so kind of cheating a lot here, but I think they kind of deserve their own little top 5s as it is. Also, I have to apologise for the wonkiness of my shelves. I don't know how I can solve this. I use my iPad for filming, and for some reason it always makes my shelves look wonky, even though I can assure you they are really straight. Okay, so let's start with the top 5 Wednesday classics, and I will put a link down below where you can fast forward to top 5 YA if you're more interested in YA than classics. Okay, so how can you have Halloween recommendations for classic books and not mention Frankenstein? Do I need to say any more? And then we've also got Dracula. Both of these books, perfect Halloween reads, amazing, amazing books. I love them both very much, especially Dracula. But Frankenstein's also really amazing. Highly recommend them, especially if you haven't read many classics, I'd highly recommend them as well. So yeah, the first 2 I have to recommend are really obvious ones, but they are amazing and they are talked about so much for a reason. Now the next book I have up is probably one that a lot of people will talk about as well, and that is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Now, to me, I don't immediately think Gothic, but it has a lot of Gothic elements in this book, and I love this book. It's beautiful. It's one of my favourite classics, along with 100 other classics that I love, but I highly recommend this one as well. Okay, so this is getting pretty much predictable when it comes to classics, but I'm saying these books for a reason because I generally think they're amazing books, and they're amazing classics and Halloween reads, really. Next up I have The Hand of the Baskervilles by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Now, I read this and I wasn't the hugest fan. I don't think I'm going to be ever the hugest fan of Sherlock as a character, but as a book, this was really interesting. I loved the atmosphere this book portrayed and the kind of mysteries going on. It was very good and I'd highly recommend it. Okay, so the final classic is one I have mentioned before, but it's one that I don't think a lot of people know about that much, and that is from this collection, In a Glass Darkly by Sheridan Le Fanu. I don't know how to say it, Le Fanu or Le Fanu. Anyway, the story in here I'm talking about is Carmilla. It is considered one of the first lesbian vampire short stories. It's amazing. I loved it. I thoroughly enjoyed reading it. So these are my classic recommendations for today. Now I'm going to get on to the more YA recommendations I have for you. So the first book I've chosen is one I've recently talked about, and that is Sweetly by Jackson Pearce. Now, as I've previously said in videos, I've got Sister Red up there, and that is kind of considered the first one, but I really recommend reading this one first because that one kind of spoils anything you read in this book. It's a fairy tale retelling of Hansel and Gretel, if you didn't know already, and I kind of got a bit creeped out with this. There is a lot of suspense and drama build up in it. So yeah, I'd recommend Sweetly by Jackson Pearce. So the next book I have to share with you guys, I wouldn't say is a very scary book. It's a little bit creepy in some places, but I think it's a good Halloween read anyway, and that is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Now, I know one of my friends from uni, Jasmine, she's going to read this for Halloween, and I read this several months ago. I read this for the Booktubeathon and I really enjoyed it. I flew through it and highly recommend it, and I think it's quite a cool book to read in general for Halloween. The next book I have to share with you guys is the Gemma Doyle series. Now, I'm talking about this with very, very limited memory of actually what happens in the book. I read it so long ago, and the only memory I have was the Poppy Warriors, which are amazing, and how awesome the entire series was. I really want to reread these. This is a historical fantasy. Now, you probably don't think of historical fantasy and Halloween go together, but I think this would be a very good read for Halloween personally. I'd like to read it for Halloween, or maybe I'm just in the mood for reading it anyway, but I'd highly recommend this series. Halloween, any time of the year. I think autumn and winter is very nice kind of time to read fantasy and historical kind of things. So yeah, I'd highly recommend this one as well. Now the next book I want to share with you guys is one I haven't seen on BookTube at all. Now this one I was given a proof or art copy of this. I think I received it in about 2012, so I read this about 2 or 3 years ago. I cannot fully remember, but it's a paranormal romance and I was really doubtful whether I'd love this or not, and then I picked it up and fell in love with it. I really, really love this. And that is Dead Rules by R.S. Russell. And he's got a really freaky kind of face on the front. Does that work? Was that working? I can't even tell. But yeah, it's kind of got a freaky face on the front. This was published the 29th of March 2012, which is in fact my birthday, if you'd like to know. So yeah, this is a couple of years old. I don't know how well it did at all because I've never heard about it. And obviously I wasn't on BookTube when this was released, so I don't know if it was popular back then. I kind of refused to read any more paranormal romances because there were so many coming out, and then read this and loved it. So this book is about a girl called Yana, and she's in a relationship with a guy called Michael. They're kind of the high school couple to be, the people who are going to be couples forever and get married and whatnot. However, things don't always work out to plan with stuff like that, and she ends up in something called Dead School, and as on the front you can read, she loved her boyfriend to death, and on the back it says, sometimes falling in love means you have to kill somebody. Yeah. This was really great. I'm not going to give you any more information than that. I suggest you go pick it up if you can. It's a really good paranormal romance, and I was shocked how much I love this. And the face is freaky. Okay, so the next and final book I have to share with you guys is one that I think you can't not talk about when it comes to this time of year, because Halloween and Christmas coming up, this book is just perfect for both of them, I think. And that is Harry Potter. Now, I recently reread Harry Potter for the 3rd time this year for uni, and I can't get over how much I love this each and every time I read it. The entire series really I love, but the first one I've read probably the most because it's the shortest. Come on, how can you not have Harry Potter around this time of year, especially Halloween? Christmas at Hogwarts is my dream. Hogwarts at Halloween, I'd love to go to there as long as there's no troll in the dungeon again. I really can't help reading this without screaming out troll in the dungeon and the whole Professor Quirrell part, because I just love it, and it's Hogwarts, it's Halloween, it's Harry Potter. What better is there? Really? So that's the end of my top 5 recommendations for more YA fiction for Halloween. Let me know down below if you've read any of the books I've shown in this video, or if you have any other recommendations as well. I'll be back next week for another Top 5 Wednesday, and it's November next week already. And so we're going to have the first week of November, and I really can't wait because I don't know the topics yet, so I'm really excited to find out what they're going to be. So I'll see you next week, and I can't wait to hear your comments.